Do you want to hike the Colorado Trail, but you don't have the 4 to 6 weeks that it takes to hike the entire almost 500-mile Colorado Trail? In this video, I'm going to talk about 4 sections that I would recommend if you only have a few days or a week to go out and hike part of the Colorado Trail instead of the whole thing. By the way, I tried to film this video outside. I'd love to film my videos outside and take you guys to pretty places if I can, but there was some pretty intense wind out there and I ended up having to move my filming inside. So my apologies for that. So welcome to El Dorado Canyon State Park. See what I mean? Here's a pretty view for you before we get started. This is where I was trying to film. By the way, I have my support dragon here on the couch with me. Any Game of Thrones fans out there? I got this guy out. I was Daenerys Targaryen one year for Halloween, and so I bought this to go with my costume. And one Halloween, I decided I wanted to put it on my couch as decoration, and now I just keep it on my couch all year round, just for fun. All right, let's get into these 4 sections of the Colorado Trail that you don't want to miss. Number 1 is, I would consider this section to be the most difficult part of the entire Colorado Trail, but also one of the most beautiful and epic. And this section is the Collegiate West. So when you enter the Collegiate Peaks Wilderness just past Twin Lakes, from a southbound perspective, you have a choice. You can either do the Collegiate East, which is the classic Colorado Trail route. It's lower in elevation, it's more forested. It's nice, but it's not as epic as the Collegiate West, which is your other option. The Collegiate West is more difficult, it's higher elevation, a lot of it is above tree line. Just look at these views to see what I mean. So it really depends on what experience you're looking for. The Collegiate West is the classic Continental Divide Trail route, but the Colorado Trail Foundation recognizes it also as part of the Colorado Trail. So if you choose to do the west part, even though it's not like the classic Colorado Trail route, it still counts as part of the Colorado Trail. Anyway, I had already done the Collegiate East route, so I took the Collegiate West. I was very happy that I did because it was awesome. And so that is why I'm recommending to you, if you don't have a ton of time, just go do the Collegiate West. It's freaking awesome. It is about 83 miles if you start at Twin Lakes until the junction to where the Collegiate East and West meet, just past Salida. There are some trailheads that are not too far, just a few miles from where they meet. So you actually probably would have to add on like a little bit to this to get off the trail and get to a car, trailhead, or shuttle or whatever. But I mean, you can do that in a week, right? 83, 84 miles in a week, no problem. So if you only have a week, get out there and do the Collegiate West. It's freaking awesome. Like, it's so awesome. And then, I mean, stop and slide on your way out, get a shower, go to the hot springs, get some delicious food. Slide is awesome. And if you have a little more time, you can do the entire 160-mile collegiate loop, which includes the Collegiate East and the Collegiate West. So you would start in Twin Lakes and you would end in Twin Lakes. I've now done the entire thing, just not all at once. And I met a ton of people when I was doing the Collegiate West who were doing the whole loop, and they were all freaking loving it. I loved both the Collegiate East and the Collegiate West, even though I love the Collegiate West more. It's just, you go up these incredible mountain passes, you're above tree line so much, you can see for miles and miles and miles. The mountains in the Collegiate Peaks Wilderness are just totally epic. Like, there are a bunch of 14ers out there. Like, this is the high, these are the high peaks. Yeah, it's just awesome. I would totally recommend it. This next section that I'm gonna suggest you could just do in a long weekend. It's only 39.1 miles. And this is the section between Breckenridge, or the jump off to Breckenridge, I should say, as well as the jump off to Frisco. When you're going southbound, this is at mile 103.7. And so I'm going to suggest you hike from this Breckenridge jump off up to the Leadville jump off at Tennessee Pass, which is at mile 142.8. So that gives you a 39.1 mile section. You get to do the section within this bigger section, you get to do the section between Breckenridge and Copper, which, you guys, be still my heart. What a freaking beautiful section. You get up above tree line. You can see for so far, you see the Breckenridge Ski Resort, you see the Copper Mountain Ski Resort. It's just like so beautiful up there. You can see Lake Dillon from up there. It's just super beautiful. And then you come down and you hike through Copper Mountain, right through the ski resort, which was really fun for me because I like to ski there. So it was really cool to see where exactly the trail goes through as you're hiking through, because my friend Pika and I actually were skiing one day and we ran into the Colorado Trail and Continental Divide Trail, and we thought that was like the coolest thing because she's hiked the CT before. I knew I wanted to hike the CT. I want to hike the CDT at some point. We're just like big hikers, right? So it was really exciting, but we only found it like the one time and it was totally accidental. So it was fun to see where it went through the resort. And then once you get past Copper Mountain, you hike up through this gorgeous valley, up over 2 mountain passes. You go up and over Searle Pass, which you look behind you back toward Copper, and oh my word, so freaking beautiful. You're above tree line. There's lots of marmots running around. You're above tree line for quite a while in this section. And then you go up and over Elk Ridge. We saw a rainbow in this section. We saw baby marmots. Like, it was great. And then you hike up and over Kokomo Pass, which is just absolutely stunning. And even in August, when we went through, this area was super green, which in August on the Colorado Trail, like a lot of times you're above tree line, everything's gonna be golden and brown, right? But it was actually super green. There's a lot of wildlife in this section. And in this section, after I got up and over Kokomo Pass, made it back to the trees, this is where I saw my one and only mountain lion of the trail / the one and only mountain lion I've ever seen. So that was very exciting. This was just a really beautiful section, and yeah, you could just do it in a long weekend. I mean, if you're really fast, you could just do it in a regular weekend, but if you're moderately fast, maybe you want to take 3 days, so a long weekend, but super beautiful. Would highly recommend it. I'm 100% playing favorites on this next section that I'm going to recommend to you guys. This was my very favorite section of the whole Colorado Trail. Oh, and that's saying a lot because so much of the CT is so spectacular. But this next section is the section between Lake City and Silverton. Both amazing mountain towns, by the way. I loved both of these places. So this section is about 55 miles. If you are going southbound, this Lake City is at mile 357-ish. Silverton is about at mile 412. And first of all, I loved Lake City. It was my favorite town on the whole Colorado Trail. And seriously, I loved every single mountain town that I went to. The community was just amazing. They had everything you could possibly need. It was super walkable. It wasn't super expensive. They have an incredible bakery. Just really enjoyed my experience in Lake City, as I talked about in my other videos. And I was very well fueled, I feel like, between Lake City and Silverton, because half the time I was just living on bakery food from baked goods that I packed out of Lake City. So I was feeling great in this section. I went over the high point of the Colorado Trail, which is over 13,000 feet, which is awesome. And in this section, you're above tree line a ton. It's just so pretty. I don't even know what to say about it. I'm going to show you a little footage here because this is going to speak for more than what I could ever say. In this section, you actually, if you're on the Colorado Trail, you leave the Continental Divide Trail behind. You, for quite a long time on the Colorado Trail, you're following the Continental Divide Trail. If you take the Collegiate West, you're following it actually for over 300 miles. So you get very used to seeing those CDT signs in addition to the CT signs. And in this section, you actually leave the CDT behind before you go on down to Silverton. And after you leave the CDT, from there until you get to Silverton is just some of the most epic views I've ever seen in my entire life. And I'm well-traveled. I hike a lot. I go outside a lot. And I was just completely blown away by this area. Yeah. And even like there's been a lot of mining activity down in this area, and even despite that, it was just extraordinarily beautiful. And the terrain, honestly, was like pretty easy, which is crazy because you're at very high elevation at that point. But the trail is just not, there's not a ton of elevation gain. So yeah, it's just, the section's freaking awesome. And then you get to Silverton, or like right near the jump off to Silverton, and you pass these just like beautiful alpine lakes that you can camp at. And you can go into Silverton, which is like a really, really cute, historic, like mining town. And the whole experience is just awesome. So this is just a 55-mile section. You could do it in just a few days, less than a week, and just you're like out there. You feel like you're out there, and there are lakes everywhere, there are high mountains everywhere, and you're above tree line, and it's the coolest. You guys will love this section if you go out and do it. And this next section, the last section I'll talk about, number 4, this is maybe cheating because it's just a continuation of the last section that I recommended, but the section from Silverton to Durango is also just like so epic. This is in the San Juan Mountains. The San Juans are just an incredible mountain range, part of the Rocky Mountains, but you know, there's like different names for all the smaller mountain ranges in Colorado that are actually part of the Rockies. And down in this section near Silverton and Durango, this is all the San Juan Mountains, and they're just, oh my God, every time I go there, I'm so blown away. It feels like you're really out there. You know what I mean? Like it feels like you're just really out in the wilderness. And this section of trail I found to be very easy. Unlike the Collegiate West, which is not easy. The Collegiate West is quite tough. But this section, honestly, I thought it was going to be really tough because I've done some hiking down in the San Juans before, like outside of the Colorado Trail. And I thought that the hiking was quite challenging. But, and also you're up at high elevation. Like until you get pretty darn close to Durango, you're up there. You know, you're above tree line a whole lot of the time. You are up there. But also what I will say about this section is for a lot of the Colorado Trail, the trees are dead. The trees are freaking dead. It's a nightmare. All the pines. Because we have this pine beetle in Colorado that kills pine trees. And apparently what used to keep them at bay was the winter temperatures going really low and killing them, and then they couldn't kill all the trees. But because of climate change, now the winters aren't getting as cold, and so the pine beetles are just thriving and killing all the trees in Colorado. But for some reason, in this section, they have not killed all the trees. So there's all these green pine trees everywhere, which is just amazing. Amazing. It's a whole vibe to be in a live forest after you've been in a lot of dead forests. Of course, if you're coming into a section, you won't be coming from dead forests, but if you're doing the whole Colorado Trail, you'll understand what I mean. You would have hiked through a bunch of dead trees, and then all of a sudden all the trees are alive, and it just feels so good. It just feels so good. Anyway, I wonder personally if the reason that the trees are alive in this section is because this area of Colorado is known for having like the harshest winters in Colorado. So I'm wondering if in this particular section, it's still getting cold enough to kill the beetles and keep them at bay in the winter, but I'm not sure about that. Anyway, this section's awesome. Again, you would get to go to Silverton, which is just like such a cute little historic mining town, adorable. Hiking out of Silverton, you immediately get to Little Mollis Lake, which is stunning. I have paddleboarded there before, separate from the Colorado Trail, and I really enjoyed it. And I would have liked to spend more time there while I was hiking the Colorado Trail, but I was on a strict timeline, so didn't have time to do that, unfortunately. But I would have liked to hang out there a lot longer than I did. And yeah, in this section, you get some awesome climbs, awesome views, alpine lakes, just gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. The trail is super smooth, not tough. And we had the benefit of, my friends and I were there in early September, and all the plants were starting to change for fall, turning red. and we got a few aspens with gold leaves on them, and it was just very magical and so beautiful. And I could not stop taking photos and videos because it was just so epically beautiful. So this section, if you're going southbound, you would start in Silverton, that's around mile 412, and you would end in Durango at mile 486. So that's about 74 miles. So again, you could do that in a week easily. And yeah, I would, if you only have a week and you got to pick just one section, I would do either that one or the Collegiate West. So yeah. Anyway, if you have hiked the Colorado Trail, let me know down in the comments what your favorite section or sections of the CT were and which ones you would recommend to people who only have a few days to do each section. And I'm sorry, I feel like I just sort of rambled in this video about how amazing these 4 sections are. I don't really know what more information I should give you on these sections. So if you have specific questions or you want to know how to plan out a section, you can ask me down in the comments, but I would just recommend that you download the FAR app guide for the Colorado Trail or for the Collegiate Loop. And you could easily find trailheads to get to these sections. The Colorado Trail Foundation has a list of shuttle drivers all over the state near the Colorado Trail that could take you to these trailheads, that could pick you up for a fee. Yeah, I don't think the planning would be that difficult if you want to do these sections. Yeah, so that's it for today. Sorry, I feel like I'm a little scattered, but it is what it is. I hope you enjoyed this video anyway. All right, you guys, thank you so much for being here. Don't forget to subscribe for more hiking, backpacking, and outdoor content. And check me out on Instagram if you haven't already at Audrey. All right, see y'all later.